Hello, everyone. Hello and good afternoon from Dubai. I hope you and your family are all safe and well. And before we begin, may I please check if my audio is clear and if you can hear me properly?
Yes, Kriska.
Yes, yes.
Awesome. Thank you. So, yeah, welcome to our 79th live webinar. My name is Kriska, and I am very pleased to be with you today together with the TDCC training team. And we are grateful to have you joining us for another meaningful session. And today's topic is the superpower of sleep for school age children. And on behalf of TDCC, we would like to thank our 85 advocates from 12 countries who registered for this session. And to everyone joining us live here and on YouTube, thank you for taking the time to be with us today. Your presence means a lot. And we are also happy to acknowledge our registrants from Australia, India, Italy, Jordan, Kuwait, Lebanon, Nigeria, Pakistan, Philippines, Saudi Arabia, Sri Lanka, and the UAE. So wherever you may be joining us from, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. So before we begin, we would like to share a short video about TDCC and our esteemed speaker for today. Thank you.
Welcome to the TDCC Community Live webinar.
TDCC stands for the Developing Child Center located in Dubai and Abu Dhabi, UAE.
Established in 2012. We have been providing personalized support to over 1,000 children. We have 60 dedicated and committed experts, and we work closely with parents and schools to ensure no child is left behind. We think different, we teach different. We empower, not limit children. Labels like autism, dyslexia, and ADHD are not relevant or perceived as disabilities, difficulties, or disorders that limit children's abilities. We believe that brilliance needs difference. The TDCC services are available in English, French, and Arabic. The inclusive educational services nurture and support the developmental and educational needs and help empower each child to reach their full potential. Occupational therapy assists children in performing and achieving important learning and developmental skills they need in life. Psychomotor therapy is a healthcare profession that is based on a holistic view of the person and is involved in the treatment of different disorders. Speech and language therapy assists children who have disorders of speech, language, communication, and swallowing. Psychology provides both educational and clinical services, including counseling and parenting. ABA therapy focuses on improving specific behaviors. It is commonly practiced as a therapeutic intervention for individuals with autism. Specialist learning support. We assist in developing the academic and social development of students who need support in all these areas. And we design and host local and international training and workshops for practitioners, parents, caregivers, and educators. Just like this one today. We have a few rules to follow during the webinar. Please remain muted while the speaker is presenting. Please give your full attention to the presentation. We will be sending you the replay, so you can review it anytime. Please be interactive if the speaker requests your participation. During the question and answer session, we kindly request everyone to type their questions in the chat box and the speaker will address them.
Welcome to the 79th TDCC webinar, The Superpower of Sleep for School-Aged Children. We are honored to have Joanne Thomas as our speaker today. Jo is an experienced occupational therapist with over 26 years of international practice across the UK, New Zealand, Australia, and the UAE. She is currently completing Advanced Class E AIRS sensory integration training, further strengthening her extensive work with children and adolescents in sensory processing. sensory modulation, and trauma-informed sensory interventions. After undertaking advanced training and mentorship in sleep assessment and intervention for children with autism and developmental disabilities in Australia, Jo became deeply committed to raising awareness about the powerful role of sleep. She is passionate about sharing simple, practical strategies that can positively change the trajectory of children's mental well-being, educational performance, and long-term health, because sleep truly is a superpower. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Joanne Thomas.
Hello, good afternoon, everybody. Hopefully you can hear me okay. I'll just get the slides ready. Just 1 second. We need to go all the way back to start. Wait 1 second. And stop sharing. Just bear with me a second. Here we are. Beginning, not the end. Okay. Why does it keep going to the end? Okay, we'll just pretend you can't see this as we flick right the way through to the beginning. There's always a technical issue, isn't there? Okay, 1 second. We will get there, and you can see the amazing information slides that we've got ready for us this afternoon. Okay, thank you for the wonderful introduction. Thank you for everybody joining today. Given the situation that we're all experiencing, I think that it's fair to say that we are all looking at how we can enhance our sleep during these times, not only for the children in our care, but also ourselves as parents and people that are working with children. So I just want to firstly acknowledge that the information that I'm sharing with you today has come through many years of working with children and adolescents who experience sleep disturbances or sleep disorders. And I first came into this kind of work as part of my occupational therapy practice from a wonderful occupational therapist, Annie O'Connell. So for anybody that wants to dig deeper after today's talk, I really encourage you to look her up. She does a lot of training online. And I had the pleasure of working with Annie in 2014 in South Australia, where she developed the Sleepwise protocol, which was a combination of sleep assessments for children who have developmental disabilities. And that actually encompassed 6 modules of parent workshops. And we also went into the homes and set up bedrooms and set up sleep plans. And this just took me into this wonderful area of positive sleep practice. So thank you for joining today, and let's take a deep dive into what we're going to cover. So we're going to touch on the importance of sleep for health and educational outcomes. We're going to learn what are the sleep needs, the hours of sleep that are recommended across a childhood. We're going to look at the 2 different categories, if you like, sleep disturbances and sleep disorders. We're going to look at the impact of poor sleep on the child's brain and body. And then we're going to, towards the end of the presentation, obviously look at some positive sleep practices, some tried and tested techniques that you can implement this evening, tonight, and hopefully enhance your sleep. Towards the end of this, we will be looking at referral for sleep referrals and who can actually help address things further. So today is just a basic introduction, okay? I'd like to start off by asking you to do a quick survey of yourself. Do you actually review your own sleep needs? I'm sure now, during the past couple of weeks, that we have been reviewing our own sleep needs, getting up in the morning, We've had a lot of sleep disturbances throughout the night, waking up with, not feeling that we've gone into deep sleep, and looking therefore before these 2 weeks that we've been experiencing here in the Gulf. Did you used to review your own sleep needs? Did you review your child's sleep needs? And can you notice a difference when your child has had a good or a bad night's sleep?
Yes, Ms. Thomas, good afternoon.
Hi.
Can I just add a few things over here? Yes, that's very right. The sleep disorder is not only in the child, but also in adults as this point of time. So the way we gauge our own sleep pattern is where we have to gauge the sleep pattern of the children as well. So the moment you are getting up in the middle of the night and feeling a little distraught and all that is what is happening with the children also at a time, So it's very important for us to put the children to sleep in a proper manner so that they get up, they have a sound sleep, they should not be having anything to think about, and all that. Yeah, definitely it is having a kind of an impact on our sleep as well.
For sure. Thank you, Sajja. Thank you so much. Yeah, for sure. Where we put them to sleep, where they're settling off to sleep, whether they're staying asleep, and then obviously when they're waking up in the morning, you can very much see as soon as your child opens their eyes, what kind of day have you got ahead? You kind of know what to predict. So let's have a deep dive into what sleep actually is. So the definition is defined as a behavioral state characterized by reduced motor activity, decreased interaction with the external environment, and generally characterized by a laying down position. Sleep is a state that is characterized by changes in our brainwave activity, changes in our breathing, our heart rate, body temperature, and other physiological functions. That's described by the Harvard Sleep School. If anybody has come across the wonderful work of Matthew Walker, who is a sleep neuroscientist, he is one of my gurus. He describes sleep as the elixir of life. So it is our superpower. Sleep is actually a continuum throughout the 24-hour clock, okay? So we have two distinct parts. We have sleepiness and we have wakefulness, okay? When we look at the brain state of what is happening when we are asleep, we have altered consciousness. We have reduced and inhibited sensory processing and reduced muscle activity. So there's a part of the brain that is closed off during sleep, which is the hypothalamus, which is the sensory circuit area of the brain. When we go into our sleep stages, that the sensory information that is coming in from the external environment, from our peripheral system, through our sensory system up to the brainstem, through to the hypothalamus is shut off. And so therefore no information is going through to the higher cortical areas of the brain, okay? So that's why when we're asleep, we become very much not aware of what's going on around us when we're in deep sleep, okay? Characterized by little movement, lying down, reduced responses to the environment around us. This sensory threshold does vary with age. And sleep state is also characterized by a level of consciousness that can easily be reversible. So basically, different to a coma is that we can be roused. We can come up out of sleep very easily and change the brain state. Whereas wakefulness is where your cortical activity is required. So your brain is switched on. So there's the neural pathways are connected from the hypothalamus and going through to the cortical areas of the brain. We're able to think, move, and respond to internal and external stimulus from the environment. It's a continuum of arousal and alert levels throughout the day. So when we are looking at sleep difficulties, we need to start off with what's happening as soon as the child wakes up. For instance, what time do they wake up? How are they waking up? Do they seem that they've been rested? and what kind of activities then the child is engaging with throughout the day until it becomes to bedtime. So wakefulness is heavily influenced and directed by physiological internal states, neurochemical activity, and external sensory stimulation. So why do we need sleep? Why is sleep important? Well, you can see through this lovely visual on the screen that it supports brain development. It helps our memory and learning. It helps our brain's ability to focus and attend to tasks. It also strengthens our immune system. It helps to get rid of buildup of free radicals that are in the cellular system, the lymphatic system, and it helps to actually clean everything out. It helps the brain to break down. It's called glymphatic system. So the lymphatic system is the glymphatic system, and it helps the brain to clean out all of the antioxidants and things that have gone working from the neurotransmitters, and help to really clean up and clean out the bloodstream. It helps to regulate emotions. It helps to reduce stress and anxiety. It helps to improve mood and resilience, and you'll get to hear soon when we talk a lot more about what is going on in the limbic system when we're asleep. If we have good sleep, it helps to improve behavioral regulation during the day because it helps to reduce irritability and increase self-confidence. I'm just going to move this down a little bit here. And that's because when we have good, rested, deep sleep, we have dream sleep, we work through all of the emotions and cognitive processes of the day, we help to restore our muscles, and our cardiovascular system and our digestive system is all at rest, and help to have a rest, and to help to get rid of all the waste products, etc., that has gone on throughout the physical part of the day. It also improves the child's window of tolerance, their sensory thresholds that they are going to be exposed to during the waking period of the day. So sleep is integral for brain repair. It's integral for memories to be stored. It's integral for energy to be restored. And it's where the growth happens. So the growth hormone is released whilst we are sleeping, and that helps for all cellular repair and growth. And sleep acts as emotional first aid. So sleep is an emotional reset for the limbic system of the brain. So sleep is actually, because of all of this that's happening that you can see on the screen, sleep is essential for long-term positive health and educational outcomes. And as our listener said, Sujay, just earlier, this is across the age continuum, but today we're talking about school-age children. As I said, it clears waste from neuronal activity, and it plays an adaptive role in processing daily stress and emotion. The old saying of let's sleep on it and we'll know a bit more tomorrow when we wake up. It's amazing what our brain is doing when we're actually asleep. So let's look at across the lifespan in regard to the recommended sleep hours. So this should be taken into consideration. This is from the National Sleep Foundation in Australia. And this should be taken into consideration of more of a range, okay? So if we're looking at the yellow band, as we're focusing on school-age children today, aged between 5 and 12 years, the total number of recommended sleep hours is between 9 and 11 hours. At this point, at this age, we aren't expecting that there are daytime naps. We're expecting that sleep is consolidated throughout the nighttime. Okay, and you can see that obviously from the newborns and the toddlers, how the sleep, the total recommended number of sleep hours is changing as we grow older. And then, needless to say, when we are adults and older adults, we start requiring less I put this link on here. We will be sending out some links to some of the videos and also some of these links of sleep calculators later on through the follow-up email. Okay, but here is what we would use as a sleep calculator, where you would put in the age of your child and it would be able to add up how much sleep you have been getting and what is your recommended number of sleep hours. So I would use this a lot when we're looking at doing a sleep diary with families, when we're doing an assessment plan. We're trying to find out, okay, over a 7-day period, what time are they going to bed? What time are they waking up? How many waking up periods are they having during the nighttime? And then we are able to actually get an overall quantity of the number of sleep hours that they are getting. Okay, so you can use a sleep calculator to be able to help you to work out these things. So the Journal of Sleep Medicine presented some stats in 2014 that 30% of typically developing toddlers, 34% of toddlers experience sleep disturbances, 32% of preschoolers can experience sleep disturbances, and 27% of school-age children. My research has also been that as school-age children are going more into high school, that level of sleep disturbance can increase, obviously in related to academic pressures and kind of socialization routines, and also the hormonal impact of adolescence on the sleep-wake cycle. The level of stats presented is a huge range for children with neurodevelopmental conditions. Anything from 50 to 80% of children would be experiencing some form of sleep disturbances. So let's look at what sets us up. We all have a specific sleep chronotype. I will share that for myself, I have a very, very strict sleep-wake cycle. Okay, so for me, I will start getting sleepiness signs at 9 p.m. and then I will sleep until 5:30, 6 a.m. And if you ask my parents, that has been the same since I was a young child and I am now middle age. Okay, so the chronotype is set by your DNA and it is set by environmental factors. It is set by the rhythm and routines that have been cemented into your life from early childhood and what you then maintain as your routine. So individual variation in nervous systems is linked to genetics, environmental factors, and age. It means that some people will naturally sleep earlier while others will naturally sleep later. So on the screen, these are the 4 chronotypes that have been presented. And you'll see that the majority type is presented as the bear. The bear wakes near sunrise, has an afternoon dip around about that 3 p.m. where a lot of us experience that dip. And then naturally we'll get tired towards the end of the day. Or you might be identifying as the lion, where 15% of the population do, where they're natural born early bird. They lose steam throughout the day. Or the wolf, 15%. I think this is my adolescent one of my adolescent child at the moment, my 18-year-old. He struggles to wake up. He has a late day energy surge. He probably doesn't really find his energy till probably 5 p.m., 6 p.m. And he does his best thinking at night and then has hard time winding down to go off to sleep. So that's really impacting on his ability to get to school on time, I might add. Or Easy the Dolphin, 10%, struggle to wake up and struggle to fall asleep. Tired all day, but become wired in the evening. You'll get to see how the hormones have a big impact on that tired and wired presentation. So the biological patterns that help humans live according to this 24-hour clock that we all have inside of us is called a circadian rhythm. And regularity is then trained. These rhythms work alongside our hormones called a sleep drive. So let's have a look at this circadian rhythm. So the circadian rhythm is kept in time. It is a 24-hour biological clock that is deep inside the limbic system of the brain. And this part of the brain is called the suprachiasmatic nucleus. I'm very pleased I managed to say that properly. The SCN. The SCN is the circadian clock system. It's like an internal pacemaker for all of bodily functions throughout the 24-hour clock. So we'll go through how this has an impact on the different hormones that are released throughout the 24-hour period and how different bodily functions are impacted based on the time of this 24-hour clock. So everybody will have heard, majority of people I would imagine on this call right now will have heard about melatonin. And that melatonin is a sleep hormone that promotes our sleep. Melatonin rises in the evening and peaks during the night time and then dips as we're approaching morning time. Okay? So our circadian rhythm is a combination of hormones that are released from the pineal gland, which we'll talk about shortly, and this pacemaker clock that is keeping all of the bodily functions and rhythms on time, which is heavily influenced by light, okay? And heavily influenced by our genetic profile. So if we look at this suprachiasmatic nucleus, okay, which is deep inside the limbic part of the brain, it's the body's 24-hour master clock. It is stimulated through light, in through the optic nerve, straight into the area of the brain in the limbic system, closely connected to the pineal gland. The pineal gland, you can just see it off from the screen, sorry there, is where the production of things like melatonin, thyroid hormone, all of the hormones that we will go through. So the melatonin is our sleep hormone, which is counterbalanced by cortisol, which is our waking hormone. Okay, and this SCN and the pineal gland helps to regulate sleep-wake timing. It helps with, as we've said, with the right hormone production and stimulation at the right time of that 24-hour period. It helps to regulate body temperature, hormonal rhythms, and activity along with other physiological processes. Okay? So it helps to keep our this is our circadian rhythm. So when we look at the circadian rhythm, as I said, we will be going through it's a symbiotic relationship with the hormones that are released, which is called the sleep drive. Okay, so the neurochemicals that are released for sleep and wakefulness. So sleep hormones, melatonin, wakeful hormones is cortisol. Okay, and that is called a homeostasis drive. Okay, and it is released throughout the nighttime, and then the cortisol is brought in during the morning. And that, along with the body's internal clock, the sleep maker, is what is sustaining, is what is getting us off to sleep and sustaining sleep. So you might have children that you work with or a child in your family that maybe has difficulty getting off to sleep at the beginning of the nighttime. And so you might be thinking, oh, okay, they are still got too much cortisol going on in their system. Maybe they're still too busy. Or maybe they get off to sleep, no problem. They settle to sleep nicely. They get off to sleep without any problems. They can settle themselves quite nicely. but they have difficulties staying asleep. And so therefore, we might be wanting to look at, are they having enough hormonal balance, enough sleep drive to help to keep them asleep? So when we look at this, the other physiological processes that are happening throughout the 24-hour clock, I want to bring your attention here to this little yellow scribble. So this is kind of, say, for instance, somebody then is getting ready for bed around about 9 p.m. The melatonin secretion is started to be released from the pineal glands. This then starts to slow down our digestive system. And it helps to, because our digestive system needs to rest and digest. Okay, so that's where, if we are working with children and they're having bowel motions in the middle of the night, it triggers to us as therapists that is not normal. We either the child is constipated and we need to address that before we can address sustained sleep. Sorry. Or we need to look at, okay, maybe there is an imbalance here of their rest and digest and their sleep hormones. Because once melatonin is released, all of your hunger hormones, all of your alertness hormones should all be shut off. Okay? So therefore, melatonin is getting released. We're going into our deep sleep. We're in rest and digest. Our body temperature is lowering. And then when we're approaching to come out of sleep, then our cortisol starts to rise. And then we get more testosterone secreted in early hours of the morning. And this is where you need to be looking at what kind of chronotype are we. And in terms of occupational performance, where you get the best out of the child, the best learning. I know some schools have a rotating timetable. They might do maths first thing on the morning, and they might do maths the next day on an afternoon, so they can catch different type of learning styles as well. Interestingly, in terms of how these hormones are impacting us, the research has shown that best coordination and reaction time is towards the mid-afternoon, where you would think that most of us are having that mid-afternoon slump. Okay, and then you'll get to see where body temperature starts to rise again when it goes around about 7 p.m. So body temperature, hormonal balance, and rest and digest are all very much needed to be in like complementing each other. Okay, if there's something out of whack, then that needs to be addressed. For any ladies on the call who may be experiencing changes in hormones and having night waking, this is legitimate, and you do need to go and speak to your doctor, because spikes in the hot flushes and things like that is a hormone imbalance, and it's impacting sleep, which then impacts occupational performance and cognition the next day. So this is a really nice, easy to follow visual on the sleep hormone. Is the red line, that's our melatonin. So you will see there it is low throughout the day and then starts to gradually rise as we're going towards 9 p.m., 10 p.m., getting into our normal sleep patterns. And then it will drop again as the morning is approaching, as daylight is approaching. Melatonin, like I said, is very much governed by the SCN, which is dependent on light. So for those people that have difficulties with waking on a morning, what we do is we use bright light therapy. We open those curtains, we switch on the lights, even though our children, our teenagers might not appreciate it. We get in that bright light into their optic nerve to actually switch off the melatonin and get that cortisol switched on for wakefulness. So aside from the circadian rhythm, We also, which sets our sleep up. We actually go through cycles of sleep. So we have a cycle of a 24-hour clock, okay, and then we have sleep cycles, which every single person goes through a sleep cycle from the time that they go to sleep and they are recognized as in a sleep state until the time that they wake up. Okay, on the screen, I've used this as a roller coaster type analogy. So say, for instance, this is myself and I'm going to sleep at 9 p.m. and I wake up at 6 a.m. I am going to go through 3 stages of light sleep until I get into dream sleep. Okay? The research is showing that all of us will spend around about 5% in our light sleep. That's just the first stage that we go into. What's that transition stage from wakefulness to sleepiness, to sleep, to being asleep. Okay. Then we go into our deeper sleep levels, and we spend about 50% of the time in that, and that is non-REM sleep. Stage 3, which we'll go through, 2 and 3, which we'll go through just now. And different biological processes are happening in these different sleep stages. Okay. I want to point out regarding the dream sleep, which is the last sleep that we go through. As we're on this roller coaster of going from light sleep into deep sleep, and then further into the deep sleep 1, 2, and 3s, then we go and touch into REM sleep, and then we go back up again into these deep sleep and deep sleep. And it's kind of a roller coaster effect of going down, back up, down, and back up until we come to the end of that sleep phase. So on the screen, this is a sleep hypnogram. So obviously nowadays you can get some really nice sleep data from your Fitbit and things like that. But years ago, when I first did my training with Annie, we had a thing called an actigraph, and we literally just had a very, very basic watch that the child would wear. And then we would get some data printed off, and we would have to actually read the different stages that they're going through. And we would then be looking at how much time the child is spending in each different stage. Okay. If we just look here at the yellow highlight, so stage 1 here in the blue is where we're going into this. It's just a very light transition of about 10 to 15 minutes. And then we would go down to stage 2 and stage 3. Stage 2 is it caters for about 50% of our nighttime. We're in sleep stage 2. Okay. Where the brain waves are starting to be slower and deeper. Stage 3 here, if you can see on the screen in the red kind of shaded. Okay. This is where the brainwave patterns really slow down and restoration starts to happen. Physical recovery happens, new memories are laid down, and this is where any learning that we've done during the day is saved into our long-term memory. Okay, so stage 4 is the dream sleep. Okay, and the dream sleep is where the limbic system and the emotional first aid starts working on. This is where any problems that we've had during the day, any disharmony that has created some emotion, any confrontations or anything upsetting, this is where it can really come out in the dream sleep. For parents on the call, you may have witnessed when your child is like really sobbing in their dreams, or really upset. You can they even sometimes have real tears, and you're like, wow, what must have gone on for them during the day that they are processing this, but dream sleep is really important to help with emotional resilience, to help with building resilience, and starting the day fresh the next day. Okay. So you can see then as we move throughout the night, we go in through cycles. So we're on this roller coaster through cycles, and cycles vary from person to person. The stats generally say between 90 minutes. Around 90 minutes is an average kind of sleep cycle of you starting in stage 1, going down 2, 3, 4 into dream sleep and then back up in a 90-minute type cycle. However, the research now is showing it can range from 70 to I think 100 or 120 minutes. So it varies, and that's human beings, you know, we're all different. So therefore, we just have to go with what is the natural rhythm, and the sleep trackers, the sleep watchers can really help to see what your individual sleep profile is. What I'd just like to point out over here in the white hypnographs is different ones in regards to what a typical childhood hypnograph looks like, an early adulthood, and an older age hypnograph. Okay. And what you can see quite clearly is for older age, you have these spikes where we're coming up and we're having more wakeful periods during the night. Okay, so we're having much more waking up during the night. We're having shorter cycles, and we're spending less time down in the dream sleep. Sorry, just get my marker here. So here is what I'm talking about. Okay, these are your waking periods here. And quite often, when I've been supporting families with sleep intervention plans, this is the part that we are trying to eradicate, eliminate, minimize, okay? Because what we find is when children are settling off to sleep, they might have mum or dad reading a storybook with them, or they might be, getting off to sleep with some support. And then they're going into their dream sleep, and then they're coming up and they are coming out of sleep and they're becoming aware of their environment, and they realize mum and dad is not in my bedroom anymore. And that's when they can become unsettled and then wake up and become distressed. And then they need parent support to help them to get back off to sleep. So just wanted to point out there in regards to those different sleep cycles and what is happening in the different parts of the cycle. So again, just to show the sleep stages and their interaction with the limbic system. The amygdala is the emotional center of the brain, and you will see here when we're going into non-REM sleep level 3, is the amygdala activity is low, the emotional stress is reset, and memories. So basically what happens is if an emotive experience has happened during the day, we have a lot of adrenaline associated with, say, upsetting or confrontational experiences. So when we are going into deep sleep, and you'll see here in N2, the hippocampus, the emotions are quietened down, memory sorting starts to begin, and the hippocampus starts to add new memories. When we get into the deep sleep bit, is the amygdala starts to, the amygdala activity slows down, and it shuts off the experience of adenosine, which is like it's a hormone associated with confrontational experiences and adrenaline. So it shuts off the that part of the brain that is releasing adrenaline, and helps to strip the emotional memory from the neurochemical. So you're taking away all of the kind of adrenaline that's associated with an issue that has happened during the day, and it gives the brain the opportunity to strip the emotion from the memory, work through the memory, and put the memory into the memory bank, okay, and helps then to help with that processing. So helps to build with resilience, helps to deal with kind of restorative, I suppose, reflections the next day when we wake up, because we've completely taken the emotion from the experience and helped to just work through the experience on its own. So really, really important is dream sleep for emotional reset. They call it emotional first aid during the nighttime. Overnight therapy is another thing that it's called. And it helps, to basically process emotionally charged memories. So the old saying of go to sleep on a problem is very valid when we look at the neuroscience. So I won't go into this too much, but just to point out that obviously in today's talk, we're talking about children aged between 6 and 12 years old. But we need to also be aware that as children are approaching puberty and adolescence, that their hormones are all changing. And obviously the social kind of aspects of their teen life also start encroaching and providing external environmental demands on their previous sleep-wake cycle. So then that starts really having a big impact on their circadian rhythm and their sleep pattern. And you will find that a lot of preteen and teenagers start to just look like they have this cognitive fog, this brain fog, jet lag, and difficulty focusing. As I said, we'll be sending everybody the links for these videos in the email follow-up. We can continue the presentation. So why is sleep important? Sleep is important because, as we said, it's got all of those neurochemical, physiological, biological processing that it's doing when we are asleep. With sleep disturbance is extremely common in children and adolescents. Up to 40% of typically developing children can experience sleep disturbances at some stage in their childhood, whether that just be difficulty getting off to sleep, difficulty staying asleep, sleep talking, sleep walking, snoring, and up to 80% of children with developmental disabilities can experience sleep disturbances or sleep disorders. Okay. So, as we've said, we know that sleep is really important for the child's learning and memory processes. We know that it's really important for working through emotion and building emotional resilience, building emotional regulation, helping children with their sensory thresholds for the day-to-day demands that are on them during their waking time. And it's really important for overall brain development, cognitive development, and brain architecture. Here on the slide was an interesting slide that I came across that presented some research based on a child's GPA, so school-age child's GPA, academic attainment scale, in regards to how many hours of sleep they were getting. So as you can see, when we're here, we're getting less than 6 hours of sleep. Their GPA was sitting less than 2.8. And then those that had more than 9 hours of sleep per night had a higher GPA at 3.2. For those that are interested in academics, attainment associated with positive sleep practices and good sleep hygiene. Sleep problems negatively impact physical health, immune system, metabolic changes, and cardiovascular problems. So just on that, in terms of metabolic changes, what we know is that if there's an imbalance between melatonin and ghrelin and leptin, those are our hunger hormones, okay? And so if the child has daytime sleepiness, excessive daytime sleepiness, it will switch off their hunger hormone so that they won't feel hungry, they won't be getting the appropriate intake of nutrition and hydration because their hormones are all out of whack and their body is kind of making them feel that they're sleepy during the day when they should have the more cortisol running through their system and more waking hormones. And that's where you have all of your hunger hormones, okay? So it's really important to address the sleep-wake cycle because it has such a huge impact on other bodily functions. So the importance of sleep for our school-age children, we've said that they need between 9 to 11, 12 hours of sleep per night. Because they need to be able to attend and concentrate. We want their memory to be working fully. Obviously, school-age children, they are at school 6 hours a day. They have a lot of learning that is happening, a lot of new information that is going into their brain that they need to be able to process and store that into their memory and their long-term memory for future retrieval. We know that children that don't get sufficient sleep, they are more emotionally reactive, they have less impulse control, and they have more sensory processing difficulties. So reduced sensory threshold is highly linked to sleep disturbances and inadequate, impoverished sleep, okay? So my go-to is always, if I have a referral of a child who's having difficulties with attention or behavioral outbursts, or difficulty with sensory processing that is impacting daily life, I always will ask what is happening for sleep, okay? Because you need to be making sure that they are having adequate sleep in order for them to have optimal occupational performance, optimal sensory thresholds to be able to process and deal with everything that is put to them during their waking hours. Okay. So sleep disturbances in children, sorry, just checking the time. Sleep disturbances in children, key clinical things. So sleep disturbances, 50 to 80% of children with autism and ADHD report to have experienced sleep disturbances. So these typical top 3 sleep disturbances are bedtime resistance, so difficulty getting off to sleep, nighttime wakings, and parasomnias, sleepwalking, night terrors, and sleepwalking and sleep talking. Children with neurodevelopmental differences, the top 3 difficulties that are often seen is delayed sleep onset. So they have a delayed circadian rhythm. So the sleep hormone is maybe not so strong. And so they have difficulty getting off to sleep, staying asleep. Frequent waking during the night and circadian rhythm dysregulation. Again, just a little bit to be able to kind of categorize. There's actually about 70 sleep disorders. And these are some on the screen that I can share that obviously insomnia, sleep apnea, so disordered sleep breathing, snoring, overheating in bed. If you have a child who's got enlarged tonsils, that can really, really impact on their sleep quality. Restless leg syndrome is another very common. So lots and lots of movement, which is then bringing them up into sleep waking during the night. And then you have the category of sleep disturbances, which we're going to go through just now. So sleep disorders is persistent and go on for a long period of time. So need to have a medical overview along with a sleep-trained occupational therapist to address. Sleep disturbances are very much related to quantity of hours of sleep, quality of sleep, and regularity. I just wanted to share with you this funny little slide. So sleep disorders is called, a part of a sleep disorder is called parasomnia. So this is sleepwalking, sleep talking, and night terrors. And this is where children can really act things out. They might be walking and they might be like talking, sleepwalking and sleep talking, and you think they're actually awake, but actually they're not. They're in a level of non-REM sleep. And I always remember one time my eldest son, he was at the top of the stairs because back then we lived in the UK and bedrooms are on the top floor. And I alerted to a noise and I go and he's at the top of the stairs, and you'll see this picture here is Karate Kid. And he had been at karate lessons and had obviously gone home, gone to bed, and he was practicing his karate moves at the top of like 15 flights of stairs. And so I had to gently like walk him back into bed, put him to bed, and like, you know, because he was going through all of those kinesthetic movements that he'd been working on. I think they might have had a karate exam that was coming up, and they were putting a lot of pressure on to make sure he had all the patterns correct. Sleep disordered breathing, really need to go and see an ENT. Okay, it can be very easily sorted if you do need to get tonsils removed, adenoids removed. Again, one of my boys had enlarged tonsils, and he had a lot of snoring, a lot of sleep quality was disrupted, a lot of overnight overheating. And as soon as we had that surgery completed, his daytime behavior improved so much, and his learning and attention and his speech actually came on so much more. So in the essence of time, I'm going to have to really skip through a lot of this, but just think when you're looking at children who are having showing signs of sleep disturbance, the things that we need to take into consideration again is the quantity of hours, the quality of their sleep, the regularity. So what time are they going to bed? What time are they waking up? Because it should be the same time during the week as it is on the weekend. Okay. And the timing is slightly different. Timing is if your child goes to bed at 9 o'clock during the week, but midnight during the weekend, that timing is really going to impact on their circadian rhythm. Okay, so please look at consistency of bedtime, look at the number of hours that they are going to bed, trying to work towards that 9 to 12 hours for school-age child, and look at if you're feeling they're waking up and they are refreshed. In regards to sleep quality, if your child does have a sleep watch, we want him to be looking at anything around 85% upwards for sleep efficiency. Anything less than that, we need to be looking at this more closely. So just to touch on the fact that sleep deprivation can look very, very similar to a child with attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. Okay, so they'll have trouble thinking, poor memory, so their energy levels will be all over the place, and they'll have mood disturbances, executive functioning difficulties. So many might say, is it the chicken or the egg? Is it actually ADHD or is it sleep deprivation? It can lead to a lot of misdiagnoses. Problems with sleep can very much be dealt with an intervention plan from occupational therapist and potentially a pediatrician. And we need to be screening children for sleep problems before we are prescribing ADHD medication, and really making sure that they're getting good sleep quality, good sleep quantity, before we're even looking at these kind of diagnoses. Again, we'll be sharing some links for this BEARS sleep screening tool, which is very easy. It's just a quick checklist to be able to look at the middle band here, school age 6 to 12 years, and you'll go down. Does your child have problems at bedtime? Does your child have difficulty waking in the morning? Does your child seem to wake up with nightmares or sleep talking, etc., etc.? Very simple screening tool that parents, teachers, therapists can do. Then there's the sleep disturbance index that we would use. And as a therapist, I use this before and after a sleep intervention plan. So it provides a really nice outcome measure. And so here you're able to actually rate the level of sleep disturbances that the child is having and what type of disturbances. Is the child waking and wanting attention? Are they sleeping in mum and dad's bed, or are they having difficulties getting off to sleep, or difficulty or waking up too early? Very simple sleep plan for all of us right now is digital detox at least 1 hour before you're wanting to go to sleep. Is turn off your screens, come off your phones, especially nowadays with what is on our social media and the news. It is releasing the adrenaline hormone and will be making it difficult for melatonin hormone to support your sleep onset. Okay, so digital detox at least 1 hour before you want to go to sleep. Look at turning down the lights in your environment, in your apartment, in your bedroom. We want to have lights switched down to as low as like a candle light. It's supposed to be 30 lux. That's light level measurement, 30 lux, no more than that. Because remember that our melatonin is highly dependent on the bright light that is going in through our eyes. So when we switch down the lights, we want like a nice kind of orangey kind of glow, very warm kind of glow. That really helps to stimulate melatonin production. Look at cooling the bedroom down to 16, 18 degrees. I tell this to my husband all the time when he says it's too cold in our room. But it's really important. If we are too hot or we're too cold, then we can't get to sleep, okay? So it's very important for our core body temperature to be just right to be able to help us to get off to sleep. Make sure we have a consistent schedule, like we said. And the bedtime routine, 30 to 60 minutes generally, I would say, leading up, is it to be relaxing activities, not alerting. That I just want to share is in regards to when we are looking at children who might have difficulty getting off to sleep, it starts from the moment they wake up. Okay, and we need to be making sure we have a balance of just right activities throughout their day. So these activities in red are all alerting activities. They're fast moving activities. You'll see Xbox, PlayStation, you'll see these indoor play areas, which are generally very overstimulating. Shopping malls, very overstimulating. I see quite a lot of children there on a late evening, even though my melatonin is starting to be released. They're running around in these in the mall with the bright lights and the noises and the sounds and the movement. And then we've got the highlighted in blue for the slow and settling down activities. Okay. We want to be making sure that we have these alerting activities earlier on in the day. Definitely we need some outdoor light and outdoor movement. And then we need the calming activities before bed. So 1 hour before bed, digital detox is 101 if anyone is experiencing sleep disturbances.
Hi, Ms. Jo.
Sorry, Sidra, I just have a few more, and then we will open for questions because I'm very mindful
Sure.
of
Done.
time.
Thank you.
Sorry, Sidra.
It's okay.
Evening routine, super important, especially for our children who might need some visual supports. Okay, what time we're going to take a bath, etc. What is the activities that we're going to do that are settling activities. Now, interestingly, sleep foods. Not a lot of people know about this. But this came out of Annie O'Connell's sleep research. So sleep foods that you can see on the screen right now, these foods have amino acid in them that is called tryptophan. So tryptophan helps to support the production of melatonin, sleep hormone. So right back to maybe grandmas used to say, have some cookies and oatmeal, or have some porridge, or have some, nice warm milk and cookies before bed. It actually had some validity to that. On the screen now are some of my tried and tested tips that I have used over the years for establishing the sensory environment to be conducive for sleep. So as we've said, we need, as occupational therapists as well, we would go in, we would do sensory profiling, etc. We would look at the environment, we would look at the daytime activities. But these are things that everybody can do. Set the temperature, looking at whether you want to use some nice lavender in a nice warm bath, looking at the lighting levels. I've put this on here in regards to bedtime stories, because bedtime stories are the things that we can do to soothe our children, to help to settle them off to sleep. Right next to this, you can see I've got the Calm app. Oops, we're going to go back here. We've got the Calm app. Now, the Calm app is free on the App Store, and they have bedtime stories for adults. You have Matthew McConaughey, you have Harry Styles, and various different people that can read a story and you go off to sleep to their soothing tones. Okay, so bedtime stories, relaxation music. For myself, for this past week, I have been using sleep music on my Spotify. Again, that's free, and it's just gentle music in the background that is helping to mask some of the sounds from the external environment. Obviously, massage, teddy bears are amazing, and choosing the fabric of the bed, the bedding. If you're a fan of weighted blankets, that's great. I very much am. But you don't have to have a weighted blanket. You can just wrap yourself up in something that's nice and you have that texture. But don't forget about the smell, aromatherapy, or for if you have a child. What I've had a lot of success before is actually mums. If I have a mum and she might allow us to have her dressing gown in the bed with the child. Okay, yeah, or even mum's pillowcase on the child's pillowcase, so they get to associate the smell of mum in their own bedroom. And for me, my son, he had a bed tent. We just got that from IKEA many years ago, and it was the best thing to make a little kind of hideout that they can have and have all of their teddies and their comfort things in there. So if you need OT, you know where we are, and we would then go through more comprehensive assessment, looking at medical aspects as well. And obviously looking at sensory profiling. Here we go. Thank you, Sidra. Thank you so much.
Hi, Ms. Jo.
Hello, how are you?
Good afternoon. I must say one thing, it was such an awe-inspiring kind of a session that we had with you. Knowing about
thank you.
occupational therapy is something which is not very new to me, but at the same time, the kind of a thing that you've taken as a sleep disorder being one of the reasons or one of the areas that we should be concentrating on has taken me with a surprise. In fact, I feel till now as a manager in a nursery, I used to feel that the health and safety policies that you make has got something to do with the physical, state. but the psychological upbringing of the child through sleep
Yes,
disorders is also one of the things that has to be taken into account now, right?
yes, exactly,
And
yes,
along with the
yes.
Vadima law, I think we should be having a Thomas law coming in, which would say, like, that this is what you have to be concentrating on now, right? What do
I
you
like
say?
that. I like that.
But it's really
Oh,
good. It's really
yeah,
nice. I must say that
yeah,
it's so good.
yeah. Yeah, especially in the nursery environment with your daytime naps and everything, you can set up, such a lovely sleep environment. But obviously, like you say, you have to have your safeguarding aspects in there as well. But you guys can be really sleep detectives because you'll be able to obviously probably see what is happening when the child is asleep. Do they
Exactly.
have restless leg? Are
Yeah.
they snoring? Are they overheating? Are they sweating? Because often as parents, we're asleep when the child is asleep.
That's what, sometimes the parents ask, like, that the child
Yes.
is he feeling sleepy in school? And I say, how does he
Right.
sleep? And they're really completely, taken aback. How does
Yeah,
he sleep has got anything to do with it? I said, yes, definitely. I mean,
yeah,
how
for
are you
sure.
snugging him? Is he snugged
Yeah.
enough to sleep or not?
Yes,
Because everything counts, you see.
yes, it does. Yeah. Sleep is our superpower. Yes,
It's a
for sure,
superpower,
for
no doubt
sure.
about it. And
Yeah.
today I can vouch for it. It is a superpower. The way it's
Yes.
been explained was extremely good, amazingly good. I must say that.
Oh, thank you so much. I really
So
appreciate
good.
that. And I
So
really
good.
appreciate your input and your enthusiasm. That's awesome.
No,
Yeah,
but
we'll be sharing the resources, don't worry, and then you
I
can
think it's
share
going to
them
be a
share them.
lesson for all the managers who are working in small with the small children who are not able to express themselves and tell what exactly is going on with them. It's
Yeah.
our step that we have to take forward and to understand the children
Yes.
even better, right?
Yes, for sure, for sure. Because especially for the nursery age child, it's so much important for their brain development at that
That's
age,
right. Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah.
Thank you very much, my dear. Thank you very
No,
much.
no problem. Thank
In-depth.
you. Any other questions or is everybody finished?
Yes, Joe. Thank you so much, Joe.
Hello.
Hi. Is there
Hello.
any more question? Okay, April.
Yes, please, if I can have a minute.
Yes, of course, Apri, go ahead. Yeah.
Thank you so much for this session. It was very informative.
Thank
I
you.
just want to ask regarding, I have my second child. She is a 3-year-old, just recently turned 3-year-old. I know from my previous daughter that sleep regression happens at this phase and the night terrors develop and all this. But I'm really struggling with my second child, as in when we go to bed and we sleep, she's very ready to sleep and she falls asleep easily. But
Yeah.
after like 3 hours, all of a sudden in her sleep, she starts to scream as if she's having a tantrum, but it's all happening in the sleep. And if we try to comfort her, it becomes even worse. If we
Yeah.
leave her, she keeps on like shouting, screaming, turning, and then she falls asleep again. So
Yeah.
if I can just have your advice, like how to deal with the situation, because I tried what I know and it's
Yeah.
not very effective.
Yeah, so night terrors are very common, for sure, in that age group. The best advice is to not wake them up, right? To trying to not to rouse her out of sleep, because then that can really be very jarring and actually more frightening. Okay, so the best thing that you can do is, if you're sleeping together, if you're co-sleeping, is literally just try and like even just like putting your hand in her. I'm sure you're doing it already, and just providing a little bit of pressure into her palm, some tactile input that you're with her, everything's okay, just some gentle kind of strokes of some tactile input until she can
Okay.
settle herself back down. Because
Mm.
actually she needs to, as if she's in that stage of her sleep, if she's in the deep sleep stage, she's really deep. And so to bring her out of sleep so quickly can be very scary for her. Okay.
Yeah. Yes.
So you have to try and do it in a way where she can start to gradually become aware of the surroundings, of the sensory input that you're doing, that mom is close by. I can feel mom touching my hand. Okay, I'm feeling safe. And that kind of just little gentle tactile input will gradually bring her out of that sleep stage and bring her up into the lighter sleep. It is very common, night terrors, as well. The other thing I would be thinking of is to be mindful and seeing, is she having any difficulties during the day with a communication expression, with sensory overload? Is there anything that she's struggling with during waking hours that is then really coming out in the dream sleep?
Yeah, it might be because now, we've been home, all of us, and when the siblings are at home, there is the rivalry happening,
Yes,
and
fighting.
her age, like the
Yeah.
tantrums at her age, maybe all of this is piling up and showing up at night in her sleep. But I will
Yeah.
try to do this tactile. I didn't try that, honestly.
Yeah. And like if she has like a teddy or a favorite blanket that
Yes,
she
she
has
has
that
already. She
with her.
puts. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay, thank you
Lovely.
so much.
Lovely. No problem. You're my pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank
Anybody
you,
else?
Joe. I think that's the last question for today.
Okay.
Yeah. And
Thank you.
any last message, Joe, for the participants who stayed up to this
Can I
No,
say
up to the
something
end?
about Miss Jo Thomas? Miss
Yes.
Jo, I have attended so many webinars, but the way
Okay.
you have explained today, Jo, goes all the way. It's superbly good, I must say that. There's
Oh,
not a
thank
single
you.
area that has been left by you. I was just trying to
Okay.
find as a manager, how it happens. Like, okay, maybe this area is going to be not taken into account, but everything's so immaculately done by you. Thank you very much.
Oh, that's amazing. Thank you very much for those kind words. I really appreciate it. And I hope you get some good sleep.
Yeah. You too, my dear. Thank you very
Okay.
much.
Thank
Have a
you.
good
Thank
day.
you. Okay, you too. Take care. Thank you, everybody. Okay.
Thank you, Joe, for the informative session today. And thank you, everyone, for joining us here today on YouTube Live. We appreciate your time and participation. Please join us for another webinar on March 27 with the topic Autism and Communication to be facilitated by Malak Azizi from the Speech and Language Therapy Department. Thank you, Joe. Here's our
Amazing.
announcement. If I can share the screen.
Once again for joining us today. Before we conclude, we would also like to take a moment to share some of the services, programs, and upcoming initiatives available at the Developing Child Center. These supports are designed to help children, families, educators, and caregivers through every stage of development and learning. Upcoming webinar
again for
series.
joining us today.
As part of our
Before we
continued commitment
conclude,
to
we would
awareness,
also like to take a
education,
moment
and
to share
family
some of the
support,
services,
TDCC
programs,
is also
and
presenting
upcoming
a special
initiatives
autism
available
webinar
at the
series.
Developing Child Center.
This series
These
brings
supports are
together our
designed to help
experts
children,
share practical
families,
guidance,
educators,
evidence-based
and
strategies,
caregivers through
and
every stage
meaningful
of
support
development
for
and learning.
families and educators.
Upcoming webinars again for joining us today. As part of our before we conclude, we would also like to take a moment to share some of the services, programs,
Program in Abu Dhabi supports young children in building essential developmental, communication, social, and learning skills during the most important early years of growth. Intensive Educational Program in Dubai. Our intensive educational program provides structured and individualized support for children who need focused intervention to strengthen their learning.
Program in Abu Dhabi supports young children in building essential developmental, communication, social, and learning skills during the most important early years of growth. Intensive Educational Program in Dubai. Our intensive educational program provides structured and individualized support for children who need focused intervention to strengthen their learning. Program in Abu Dhabi supports young children in building essential developmental, communication, social, and learning skills during the most important early years of growth. Intensive Educational Program in Dubai. Our intensive educational program provides structured and individualized support for children who need focused intervention to strengthen their learning. Program in Abu Dhabi supports young children in building